Ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome first our two guests on the show today. Prafulla Ketkar is editor, organizer, author of 100 Years Resolve for Selfless Service, the RSS. Prafulla Ketkar ji. Also joining me is Tushar Gandhi, activist, author, and someone who's written extensively on the critique, if I may say so, of the RSS. Please welcome our two special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session is here at the India Today Mumbai Conclave, the RSS Century, Ideology, Identity, and India's Destiny. My two guests joining me for a bit of a face-off of sorts. Prafulla Ketkar, editor, organizer, author of 100 Years Resolve for Selfless Service, RSS, and Tushar Gandhi, author and activist. Please give them a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start with you, Mr. Ketkar. In just a few days from now, effectively, the RSS will have completed 100 years on Vijay Dashmi. How would you describe this century of the RSS? Does what we are seeing now mark the ultimate assertion of cultural nationalism? Or, as critics point out, does it suggest a sense of a vision of a Hindu Rashtra being, in a way, created? Is it about a Hindu Rashtra? Is it about cultural nationalism?
Thank you, Rajdeep, for having me here. See, I would say this journey is about first the neglect, then the sort of contempt, then sort of hatred, and then now acceptance. These have been the phases. First two books, academic books that came up on RSS, that was exactly after completion of 25 years of RSS. That was in 1950-51. One by an American who never visited India called J.A. Karan. It was on religious militant nationalism, the case study of RSS. It was his PhD thesis. There was another one by, interestingly, a Christian pastor called Anthony Elingemettam from Kerala. And he wrote a book on the philosophy and action of RSS for Hindu Swaraj. Interestingly, most of the quotes and the citations that you find today about RSS are starting from J.A. Karan's and his, the adjectives that are used for RSS, whether you call it cultural nationalism or Hindu, militant, fascist, whatever you want. Interestingly, the Gandhian Christian pastor who wrote about RSS is never quoted, even in academic circles. I see, when RSS started, it was a more, a sense of mockery for many of the people, even in Nagpur. By 1940, it reached up to 125 places in India when Dr. Hedgewar, the founder, actually passed away. And what we see today, with 83,000 shakhas, that is the primary activity, but beyond that, 32 inspired organizations, and the way RSS thought process is getting acceptance in the society. That is a remarkable journey. You can, like or hate, but you can't neglect, sort of.
But is it cultural nationalism? Is it the arrival of a certain assertive Hindu cultural nationalism? A short answer. Is that what you're seeing? When you say that it has spread in the manner that it has its influence, is it the arrival of a certain sense of Hindu identity, yes or no?
Yes, and it is mainly because the three contesting ideas, Rajdeep, please try and understand. One was that British taught us and the Nehruian secularism accepted that we are in the nation in the making. There is a left viewpoint that we are never a nation, we can never be a nation. We have a conglomeration of many nationalities, and at the most we are a structured state. We can have many struggles on the languages. And there is a third point of view which we carried forward for ages, that we have been an ancient civilizational state which we perhaps created in the form of new state in 1947. RSS stands for that. And that viewpoint has been accepted and we have to accept it.
Okay, so it's a civilizational identity that Prafulla Ketkar is pointing out. You want to respond to that, that effectively what he's saying is that the growth and increasing acceptance of the RSS worldview, as he puts it, let's be very clear, the Prime Minister of this country is an RSS pracharak. All the leading lights of the BJP have gone through, in a way, the RSS system. Therefore, it is the arrival of a certain civilizational identity stretching back centuries. It's not exclusively Hindu identity only. Your response, Tushar Gandhi.
Before I make any comments, I'd like to admit the fact that in India today, and I'm not talking about the host, I'm talking about India today, Nathuram Godse's voice finds more resonance and empathy than Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi's voice, and we have to accept this fact and then go beyond this and talk about everything else. For me, there is no doubt, there is no religious nationalism, there is no identity thing. It's basically the philosophy of hate, the philosophy of divisiveness, and the philosophy of murder that we see embodied in the RSS. And I will keep repeating that, because not just at the inception of this country as an independent country, but right up to the present day, that ideology is in practice in India. And we cannot deny that.
No, so you're seeing the RSS through the prism of what happened in 1948, January 30th, the assassination of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi by Nathuram Godse. Because there will be those who will say Nathuram Godse was Hindu Mahasabha, A, he was not RSS. B, is an organization going to be damned all these years later by what happened in 1948?
No, I am saying it because it's still happening. Dabolkar, Pansare, Devburgi, Kalburgi, and Gauri Lankesh were also as much victim as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So it's not anchored in 1948. It continues.
So you're saying RSS is fundamentally based on hate and division?
Absolutely.
The ideology is based on hate and division.
I would like to quote a few of the instances why I say this. This is when Bapu was in Calcutta and he fasted for peace in Calcutta. And since we have the editor of Organizer with us, I'm quoting the Organizer, which says, the headline is, Nero fiddled when Rome burnt. And the Organizer remarked, history is repeating itself before our very eyes. From Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhi is praising Islam and crying Allahu Akbar, enjoining Hindus to do the same, while in Punjab and elsewhere, most heinous, shameless barbarities and brutalities are being perpetrated in the name of Islam and under the cry of Allahu Akbar. This is the kind of language that we hear from the RSS always. This is the kind of, a kind of rabble-rousing that we find always. I would like to just explain over here that in Bihar, in a public meeting, Bapu had pleaded with the people that Muslims have been using Allahu Akbar and massacring Hindus. Hindus have been crying Jai Shri Ram and Har Har Mahadev and murdering Muslims, and no religion ever preaches this kind of hatred and massacre, so please stop. And yet, the Organizer, in its article, decides to blame Bapu for crying Allahu Akbar. This is happening even today.
You want to respond to that, that effectively what Tushar Gandhi seems to be suggesting is that there is a battle between a Gandhian worldview and an RSS worldview. He's posing the two against, that RSS effectively is exclusionary and built on hate, and the Gandhian ideology was built on compassion and inclusion. Your response?
Rajdeep, I feel, I virtually born and brought up in RSS family, and yes, he quoted Organizer. That time A.R. Nair was the editor, came from a communist background. And people have, this habit of quoting. I mean, you have many point of views on many issues. I'm sure Mr. Puri is not held accountable for it. RSS, organizer is a 14,000 shareholder company, which RSS is not even owning. But
Not
he
registered.
keeps on, I heard Godse more from the RSS haters rather than from RSS background. I never heard. In fact, the first person who denounced Godse was Gurji Golwalkar. In fact, on 30th January, he was in Madras attending some RSS meeting. He cancelled all his program. He came back to Nagpur and he wrote a telegram to Mr. Nehru, then Prime Minister. And he clearly said about Godse, that time the name was obviously not clear, but the vile act is a blot on our society in the eyes of the world. Even if it had been the hands of one from an enemy country, this act would have been unpardonable, for the life of Mahatma Ji was dedicated to the good of entire humanity, crossing the borders of particular groups of people. That is the telegram he has written. And I don't know. I see many people who hate either RSS or Prime Minister Modi spread more hatred and more un-Gandhian, in fact, carrying real or unreal Gandhi surname, than, the kind of language they are using even on social media for the elected Prime Minister is un-Gandhian. If you read, and that's why I quoted Anthony Elingemetum when he said Hind Swaraj. Post-Gandhi, people who critique Gandhi the most in 1945, Gandhi was asking Mr. Nehru about the future of India. And Mr. Nehru is replying him in his letter, Bapu, your ideas about Hind Swaraj and India are unreal, and I don't believe in it. 20 years ago, I never liked it, but today I don't believe it. So, taking Gandhi's name and realizing with, Gandhian ideals are two different things.
No, but let me...
I would just remind,
Yes.
Gandhi was the first person to use the word Ramrajya. Was he communal? Gandhi was the first person to talk about cow protection. Was he communal? Gandhi was the first person who actually said all ways of worships are good, and that's why conversion is a violence. Was he communal? That is what RSS stands for.
Okay, I want a quick response from Tushar, and then I'll come to one of the central elephants in the room. But go ahead, Tushar, respond to this.
Well, Gandhi's Gram Rajya, and he has defined it in his own words, was the rule of law which treated everybody equally, where the poorest of the poor and the weakest of the weak would be heard of and acted upon. It wasn't the Ram Rajya that we are now being told is good for India. His idea of cow protection, yes, he talked about cow protection, but he never ever opposed cow slaughter, because he said that there are people in India who treat cow as a source of food, and we cannot deny that. And when there was an agitation for a ban on cow slaughter, he said we cannot emulate the rules and laws of Pakistan. We are a more civilized country. So please, when you quote Bapu, don't be selective in picking up words. Bapu's writings had a depth to it, unlike the RSS rhetoric.
Okay, because the elephant in the room that I was going to talk about is India's Muslims. More than 200 million people, Prafulla Ketkar, in India are Muslims. You quoted Golwalkar a short while ago, and again we can selectively quote people who've been in public life for years, but he described in one of his writings Muslims as Yavan snakes. That effectively Muslims, Christians were the enemies of the state. No. Are you denying that?
No.
Are you saying he never said that?
You are misquoting him.
He never used the word Yavan snakes?
He used. Huh. He used not for Muslims. He used 3 words,
yes.
In fact. He used Islamic fundamentalist, he used Christian evangelist, and he used communist materialist. He used the 3 words.
No, so effectively, you see, the point is that there seems to be this, I mean, the critiques of RSS will say RSS tries to ride 2 horses. When it suits them, they will say we are totally inclusive. Mohan Bhagwat will say Muslims have the same DNA as Hindus. We embrace all Muslims. And yet you'll have the Bajrang Dal, the VHP, who will say, jo Hindu hit ki baat karega, wahi desh mein raj karega. So I want to understand, you want to ride all the horses. As a result, the RSS is somewhere demonized by its critics as an anti-Muslim organization. Forget all the everything else. At the core of it, you are looking for the Muslim as the enemy. True or not?
No, absolutely not. Why I'm telling you? Simply because, for that I would request you, there is a famous interview given by Guruji Golwalkar in 1972 to Mr. Jilani, Iranian journalist, a very lengthy interview on this particular issue. And he made a very, very critical point, which even Monji made it in his recent speeches. See, for RSS philosophy, the word Hindu defines the USP of Bharat.
USP of?
Bharat. What is USP of Bharat? Civilizationally, the USP of Bharat is the spiritual democracy. You have a right to choose your own God. You have a Gandhi who can claim to be an atheist and still can be a Hindu. And you have another Gandhi who said, I'm purely religious and can be a Hindu. A monotheist can be a Hindu. A polytheist can be a Hindu. An omnitheist can be a Hindu. That freedom is given only in this land, and that is the USP of this land. It's everybody following the same lineage. And that's why when it comes about and most of the times it comes when it comes to the history. You know, people, I have a very simple question. Shouldn't we talk, when we talk about the caste issue, we talk about the caste discrimination, caste atrocities, and we say we should have a social justice. Similarly, if there are religious atrocities, shouldn't we talk historically that there should be civilizational justice? Why are we afraid of it? Why are we assuming that Indian Muslims are inheritors? Remember, KK Mohammed I interviewed when 2003 survey was happened, ASI survey, and he made a very categorical statement. If communist historians wouldn't have been there, Babri Masjid Action Committee would have accepted the evidences of ASI. Because they were the ones who told that you are the inheritance of Babur and Aurangzeb. My fundamental proposition is, I don't speak on behalf of RSS, I don't claim to be speaking on behalf of. I speak as editor-organizer, I am a Swayamsevak, I wrote a book on RSS. My understanding of RSS is, RSS believes that everybody living in India is fundamentally, civilizationally Hindu, simply because they believe in multiplicity of faiths. The respect and acceptance of this historical reality is the idea of Hindu Rashtra. Hindu Rashtra is nothing to be made. This accepting this USP and then creating this, the unity is basically the idea of Hindu Rashtra.
It's interesting because that seems to somewhere go away from what Savarkar spoke about when he spoke about Punya Bhumi and Pitra Bhumi. But let Tushar Gandhi respond. You're hearing Prafulla Ketkar. He is saying something very important and significant, that whoever resides in this country is part of a larger Bharatiyata ethos, if I may use the word Bharatiyata. You want to respond to that. And therefore the RSS, he claims, is unfairly demonized as being anti-Muslim.
I want to respond to 2 things. One is, you talked about M.S. Golwalkar. I want to refer to his comments on Muslims and Bapu. But before that, I want to make it very clear that RSS doesn't believe in civilizational justice. It believes in civilizational revenge, and it practices that. And so we must not get carried away by this smooth talk. And now I'd like to quote M.S. Golwalkar again, which this is in December 1947. Please remember the significance of this date. And he speaks on Muslims. and I quote, "No power on earth could keep them in Hindustan. They would have to quit the country. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to keep the Muslims in India so that the Congress may profit by their votes at the time of elections, but by that time, not a single Muslim will be left in India. Mahatma Gandhi could not mislead them any longer. We have the means whereby such men can be immediately silenced. But it is our tradition not to be inimical to Hindus. If we are compelled, we will have to resort to that course too." And this in December 1947, you know what happened on 30th January 1948. There doesn't need to be a link between what happened.
You're claiming that the RSS or the RSS worldview ideology was responsible for the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi.
I'm claiming
I just want to say that Golwalkar passed away in 1973. We are now in 2025. You seem to suggest that we must see the RSS only through the prism of what Golwalkar may have said, not said in 1947. Let's talk about contemporary India. 2025, the RSS, Mr. Tushar Gandhi, like it or not, is today effectively the party in power or the organization in power. What has happened? Has India changed? Has the RSS changed for the BJP, which is effectively part of the wider Sangh Parivar, to become such a dominant force?
India is changing, and I admitted that right in the beginning of my talk. And I will counter.
Critics of RSS
I will counter your thought. We are not going back to the time of Golwalkar and being archaic in our things. His bunch of thoughts is still the gospel of the RSS on which it still functions. And so he remains pertinent to what is happening in the present day India. Let's not be too diplomatic.
So what has changed?
This.
Is it the normalization
India
of
is changing. India is changing, unfortunately.
Or is India rediscovering, as the RSS says, a sense of its civilizational pride? What you say is civilizational revenge, they say is a sense of civilizational pride.
India is discovering the Nathuram Godse in it and subscribing to that ideology. It is being done because of the vile, hateful campaign carried out by the RSS right from the time of independence to today.
And why have those who chose to challenge that failed to be able to convince a sufficient number of Indians that what you're saying is right, that it is civilizational revenge?
I admit that it is our fault. I admit that it is our defeat, and I don't feel bad in admitting that we failed India. We who claim to be Gandhians have failed India.
Respond.
See, he carried the label of liberal and atheist, so I don't know how does Gandhi goes along with it. But I accept because being a Hindu, for me, all ways are accepted and true. My problem is with the people, when you don't accept. See, in 2018, when Mr. Mohan Bhagwat was speaking in his lecture season, I'm sure you were also there, he clearly said, many of his thoughts, in Bunch of Thoughts is not reprinted by RSS. Most of the Bunch of Thoughts were printed copies by the RSS haters. The original copy of Lokahit that was published in Hindi in Lucknow.
No, I hope you are not disowning Golwalkar now.
We are not disowning. We are not disowning anything.
Everybody.
We are not disowning anything of the history. See, one of the biggest critics of Gandhi's or Congress's Muslim policy was Dr. Ambedkar. Do you call him hateful? Ambedkar was the only person...
Criticism and hate are two different things. Please do not twist my words.
No, sorry.
Please do not twist my words. You are now doing politics over here. I am talking about society. I'm not talking about politics. Please don't try to make it politics.
No. I'm not talking about politics. I said Ambedkar was
I'm
the
sorry.
only person.
Let's not make it a typical TV debate. Let's hear both sides.
Ambedkar was the only person who spoke about exchange of population. In fact, both Golwalkar and Savarkar opposed the partition. And they believed that Gandhi would be the last person who would stood. Unfortunately, he had to accept the partition, but till last moment, till actually Congress accepted the partition resolution, Gandhi was the only person who, within Congress, was saying that I would not accept the partition. And many people believed that. The point here is, some people are stuck up. You know, you guys also talk only about BJP. Why don't you realize that BMS is the largest labor organization? Even ILO has to take cognizance of it. Why don't you understand the basic thing that ABVP is the largest student organization in even campuses like Hyderabad Central University? All the 7 seats are recently won by ABVP. There is a Sanskar Bharati, which is from folk arts to the classical art, are integrating and bringing all the artists on one platform. Why are you not understanding? It is not just about politics. It is about understanding that being Hindu is synthesizing even what you see primarily contradictory. And that is what even Gandhian Satyagraha are 2 parts. Gandhian Satyagraha was what he was doing against the British, but there was a constructive program. Tell me a single constructive program that Congress has done after Gandhi. I will give you hundreds of exampmples from RSS.
So are you, as the Prime Minister said at his independence speech, India's largest NGO? You see, because it's a Hydra-headed NGO. You can have organizations that promote Sanskriti, and you can have the Bajrang Dal, which, let's be honest, promotes, many believe, vicious anti-Muslim hatred on the ground, which is the real RSS. And you will then have deniability, or wo to Bajrang Dal ne kiya.
No. I'm not denying anything. Dr. Hedgewar was a person who was a Congress member, who was a revolutionary, who worked along with the Bengal Anushilan Samiti, who was even part of Congress 1922 session organizing committee. He was also a member of many drafting committees for the Socialist Party. And he made one interesting point about RSS. He said, I don't want to create an organization in the society. I want to organize the entire society.
So it was a way of mobilizing Hindus.
The problem that he diagnosed, that most of the people, at one point Gandhi also thought so in 1908, 9 up to 15. Many people that time were talking about how to gain independence. RSS founder talked about why we lost independence. And he realized that we caught up in many of the fragmentations on the basis of caste, on the basis of languages, our perspective towards our history. And unless that is changed, even if we get independence, our problems will not be solved. And that's why he said, I don't want to raise an organization, I want to organize the entire society. So that was a different approach that unfortunately people who are criticizing RSS from outside are not ready to understand.
Tushar Gandhi, you see this point, there is a sense that the critics of the RSS see it almost through one prism only. That the RSS is built singularly on hatred of the Musalman. They do not look...
No, not just that. Their hatred towards RSS is so much that they don't want to understand even RSS from RSS point of view.
That there is an RSS that he claims is a selfless organization that has spread its tentacles in different aspects of society.
I'd like to agree with one point that he made, that RSS doesn't want to establish an organization, they want to organize society. That's exactly what Hitler and Mussolini set out to do in Germany and Italy, and that is where they got their inspiration from for the RSS. Having said that, I just want to go back to what Bapu said. At partition time, Bapu sent Dr. Sushila Nair to across the border, the newly drawn border, to a camp where refugees, Hindu and Sikh refugees fleeing the newly created Pakistan, were temporarily housed till they could be brought across the border. When she came back and she talked to Bapu, while describing the situation over there, she praised the work that RSS was doing for relief for the refugees. And Bapu told her, don't be fooled, because when they do good, Their intention is evil. And that is what exactly they were doing in all the refugee camps all across India, fomenting and manipulating
But today
the anger
RSS is at the forefront.
towards the Muslims.
But
Let me finish.
Today the RSS is at the forefront of flood relief, for example.
They
are you
are.
still going to see them from the prism of the past? That the RSS...
The relief they bring to the flood relief and the natural calamities is praiseworthy, but the intention of doing it is the malified intention of polarizing society.
I fail to understand that, Rajdeep, simply because I worked in Bhuj when the earthquake
took place 2001.
I don't remember a single discrimination on the basis of either religion or caste while reconstructing houses. I remember when Dadri, that plane crash took place. All the passengers were Muslims. In fact, the local Maulavi was called for to do the last rites because all the passengers were Muslims. So, having a hateful, some understanding, if some Mr. Munje had met with Mussolini, and so was Mr. Gandhi. Mr. Gandhi had a meeting with Hitler also. So does it
He
make,
did not. He did not meet Hitler. He did not meet Mussolini. Please read your history before you make statements.
Who met from?
He passed through Italy while on his way back from the Round Table Conference, and he wrote to Hitler, please don't misquote history.
When RSS says that we want to organize the entire society, it simply means on certain issues as a nation, we should have a common understanding about ourselves. If we have certain flaws as a society, maybe related to caste, maybe related to... Rajdeep, one simple question. One important speech, because a lot of people talk about language and RSS is also asked on the language issue. 1952, there was an important speech delivered by Mr. Golwarkar Guruji in Chennai, that time Madras. And he made an interesting argument. He said all Indian languages are national languages. And that is what the Constitution says. For the practical purpose, maybe English and Hindi are the Raja Bhasha, that is the official or state languages. But when it comes to our national conversation, when it comes to the prioritization, we should give priority to any of the Indian language. So, idea of RSS was basically overcoming the shortcomings of our society through constructive means and through a consistent dialogue. Shakha became a training program for it. In Shakha, I never see any of the religious preaching. In fact, it is one of the most secular, except Bharat Mata, nothing is worshipped. So I don't know why RSS critics always see this from either BJP prism or anti-Muslim prism or some imaginary fascism. I don't see what kind of...
You seem to be almost projecting RSS as the victim. That, here is the party which is today, or the organization which is in supreme power in India, but humko sab log target kar rahe hain.
No, people have accepted it. Indian people have accepted the RSS point of view simply, as I said, India is a civilizational Rashtra, which we call Hindu Rashtra. If you don't want to call it, you call it Bharatiya Rashtra. That doesn't matter. But in the name of secularism, if you are saying we are making a new nation, this is not a nation, this is a tukade nation, then it is not accepted. And we will discuss and debate over it, but we will not hate you.
Okay.
People who criticize RSS for hatred live virtually on RSS hatred.
We hate RSS.
And
we
I
don't
can
murder.
prove that.
We don't murder RSS.
Timeline. With the social media.
Tushar Gandhi, I have exactly a minute. If we were to do this debate 50 years from now, I won't be around. The RSS will certainly be around. 50 years from now, do you believe that the RSS will be as dominant as it is today? Or do you believe it will eventually be seen for what you seem to see it as, a very exclusionary organization?
Well, as long as I live, I will try and make people understand that that is what it is.
An organization that excludes us.
An organization that thrives on hate, divisiveness, and murder.
50 years from now, what will happen to the RSS?
I don't know. RSS would like to dissolve itself in the society, but I believe that Bharat will be there and Bharat will be guiding the world how to coexist with different faiths peacefully. That Bharat will be guiding thanks to RSS and civilizational philosophy of Hindu Rashtra.
Okay, let me leave it there. Two different points of view. Tushar Gandhi and Prafulla Ketkar, appreciate your joining us. One of the treasures of this country is we can still have a samvad with two alternative points of view and do it peacefully. And I think that is the strength of this country. The strength of this country is its diversity and its pluralism. And if we can respect that, there may be space both
Thanks
for
to you,
Tushar
Rajdeep.
Gandhi and for the RSS.
Thanks to you, Rajdeep. Otherwise, the space is narrowing.
Okay, let me leave it at that. I won't go into those debates too.
For RSS side, it is always open.
Okay. Thank you very much. Tushar Gandhi, Prafulla Ketkar for joining me here. Thank you.